So now the fun starts. We have been talking, we have been selling, right? We are salesmen, right? We have been talking about inspiration and passion and everything. So now you're gonna get to do it, and you're gonna have to experience a little bit of that tension and pain and resolution. We're gonna do a live design challenge, and I leave the afternoon to Andrew. I just want to say this. When we finish at 4 o'clock, from 4 to 6, you will be able to touch his gown and as well as mine, right? Outside for 2 hours. There will be a reception. We will entertain. So be part of the design challenge. Make it happen here for the next, hour and a half or so. And
why don't you keep talking while I open this up?
right, and get to experience it a little bit hands-on. We will do a little bit of moving around and dividing the people up in the room, but Andrew will do all that.
All right, thank you, John. So you guys saw in the program that we're going to have I'm not sure the exact words, but a co-creative workshop, right? We're essentially going to do what we do in our program now. This is actually very much something that we did for our first year, second semester studio. So for myself, like I was saying earlier, came from a not very hands-on, not workshop background. This was something of my first foray into getting our hands dirty and going through the design process. And we learned over a whole semester all the steps of it. I steal some of these steps from probably design processes that you've looked up yourselves on the web or from different design firms. And we're essentially going to put it all into an hour and a half. And we've done this before where we're just going to cram a ton into an hour, and you guys are going to see and participate. We're going to split you up what you can create in an hour and a half through the process. So both the process and the outcomes should be slightly surprising. So here's our timeline. We won't necessarily stick exactly to the times, depending on how things go. But we're going to start in the beginning, understanding what our problems are. We're going to move into an important phase. I'm just bucking and calling the empathy phase, where we're going to do some activities to understand our users, understand their processes, or rather their journeys, and really dive down into them. We're going to get into a brainstorm session, which actually, for all intents and purposes, is a small portion of this. We all know, you guys know how to brainstorm. We're going to push you to get a lot of ideas out pretty quickly. But that's not the novel part of this. It's understanding your user, and then it's building this thing. So we're going to go through a couple of little frameworks to take an idea and flesh it out and make it pretty good. You guys will be surprised at the refinements of your ideas within, if you add this up, an hour and 20 minutes. We're going to shoot for, somewhere between 3 and 3:30 to end, and then we'll report out and talk about the process, talk about our solutions, talk about the whole thing, and so that everyone can learn from each other's groups. So, cool. So what we're going to do, so actually, this is going to be a little probably messy just because we're all going to have to get up and break up into 4 different groups. We're going to have easels like this around the room. So I think we're going to have one group in this corner. I can imagine we can get maybe 10 people to sit in these chairs and face around. This corner is another obvious one. Maybe we just use the front here, and then one group can poach up maybe in one of these aisles on the side. Or let's go over there because that's where everyone is. So I want my other cohort classmates, along with Jerome Rea, John, Joseph, so those of us who knew this was coming, to split up into our 4 areas and gather a team to yourselves. So do what it takes to attract, I think we'll get like 8 to 10 people per group, and everyone else stand up and spread around. So we are going to use this room, even though it's not modular. Like, we'd love to have some whiteboards and movable tables. All right, Monica, own this corner. So then we're going to get with Henrik and Jesse, who I think are bringing out the materials. So while we're continuing, introduce yourselves, get yourselves acquainted. I see some mingling over here, which needs to get broken down into 3 distinct groups. What we're going to do, and so I think I've shown you like the framework. We haven't gotten to any of the content, right? Yeah. We'll just go down to 3 themes, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to tackle the design challenge that I think you saw on the invite of how can we improve transportation in New York City, all right? It's big and broad. You guys all lived through it at least this morning, unless you live here all the time, in which case you deal with this daily, right? Transportation in New York City is imperfect at best, and we're gonna try to fix it, okay? And that is intentionally open-ended in terms of how you wanna fix it, and what your end outcome will be completely different from all the other groups. We're gonna direct you a little bit, and that we're gonna create 3 themes about different areas to attack. So it's not as open-ended as this might completely seem. You will have some direction. So one group is going to focus on motor transport, cars and such. One group is going to focus on public transport, literally that entire realm of trains and buses and is that
water taxi.
Anything, water taxis, the ferry, just that one massive ferry. And then the third group will do personal, so walking and biking and that sense. So does anyone have a preference?
Over here is public transportation.
Public in the back?
Public transportation.
Personal transportation. You guys got stuck with cars. Right. Cars. I'll break these up, yeah. All right, so I think that's enough. You guys know your theme. Yeah, I'll give them out. So you guys have your theme, you guys have your process. We're gonna get into the design phase within like the next 15 seconds if I get some good eye contact from everybody.
Public transportation. Public.
All right.
Yep, public transportation.
All right. Friends, ready your engines. On your mark, get set, go. So I'm gonna let you to it. We don't even need to talk anymore.
All right, so get around and
Critique or just review or just out. 30 seconds for the groups. 30 seconds. All right, we're done. We're going to call it finito. Yes, fantastic. So everyone bring it in. Group in the back, group on the side. What we're going to do is we're going to have these 8-minute report out sessions because 8 minutes, because then you'll go to 10. In front of our esteemed judge, John Jelen, and his staff. This group's going to go first because they've been eating bagels for 15 minutes and they're ready. And then these other guys will fight it out to go last. So you guys got 8 minutes-ish, or 6 or 9.
Good. Hi. So we had the assignment to look at car transportation in New York City and some of the problems that we encounter having cars in New York. So we talked about a lot of different things. We decided there are essentially 4 groups of people who use cars in New York. That's families, it's individuals, it's businesses, and it's, what am I forgetting? Those are the individuals. Oh, and status people.
Social services.
Sorry, social.
Police.
Oh, public safety and that kind of thing. So we decided, since these are such large groups and some of them use cars all the time and some of them don't, we would try to isolate some of those groups and look at some ways that we could streamline the use of cars. Since there are so many in the city, we wanted to make it possible to maximize the use of the cars that already exist and get as many people in them as possible. So the first idea that we kind of came up with is to take the individual group. Within the individual group, there are people who want cars for the status that they offer. So for the status users, we have come up with a service that's called By Invitation Only. And this takes high-level executives and CEOs who own luxury vehicles and enables them to ride in each other's cars, to network within those cars, and meet other CEOs and like-minded individuals during their commuting or meetings or charity events, whatever they're using their car to get to. And try other luxury cars. So it's appealing in that you're kind of helping the environment because these cars already exist, but more people are going to be in them. It's the ability to drive someone else's Mercedes or Jaguar. And then you're also networking in time that you would already have to be spending to commute to wherever you're going. So this fee, this by invitation only, would start out with users who have their own cars. They would be paying a service subscription fee. Eventually, when we reach critical mass, we will begin to invite people who don't have cars, but that can pay a higher service to ride in other people's luxury cars. Did I miss anything? Yeah, so the second idea that we had is also in the individuals group, and this is going to be a babysitting and dating bus service. So would anyone?
You want to explain this?
Sure, so I'll explain this. So this, again, is servicing the individuals, but we're looking at individual mothers who, by nature of their duty as mothers, might not be able to get out and communicate and network with other mothers. And then also, we thought that it would be a good idea to combine this idea of a dating service with commuting. So during the daytime, the reason why we combine these two ideas is so that there's not one point in time in the day where these cars are sitting idle, right? So for the folks who are interested in dating, they'll be able to use this service and say, okay, well, I'm interested in this type of person, I'm interested in this type of person. We make a match, and we now get to ride to work together and see how that goes. That would be the service for the daytime. For the evening portion would be for when mothers need to provide a service for their kids to get transported from school. It's more of a service for that usage. And then late evening, of course, would also be dating too. If there was a match, of course, that was made during the daytime and we needed a service to get you from A to B for an actual date and not a commute to work. Is there anything else we had?
So I would just like to conclude what we tried to tackle here. We had one main question. Is it a status or is it a convenience that makes us drive more cars and cause traffic jams? When we came to think of status, we came of what she was telling about auto share luxury club, in a way that we want to target the group of people that want to network together. But in a term of convenience, which she was talking about, we want to target specifically what kind of convenience are people looking for. Because we already have auto share, pool share services, and everybody has heard of, but still not many people are, or not as many as should, are using it. So we either want to make convenience a new group, in a new group, whether it's babysitting or dating, which were two cases that we took, or in the status group, we want to target people who drive a car because it's still a society status symbol. Thank you.
Okay, so our team's area was personal transport, and we focused on biking. So biking is becoming more and more acceptable in New York, and I think people are active by nature, and then there are a lot of groups who try to do it either on weekends or do it sort of, let's say, like Henrik, biking it as a means of transportation. But there are obvious challenges because the city is so huge. There are infrastructure challenges. There is this perception challenge of, let's say if I'm biking to work, then what am I going to do if I have a meeting? I'm going to be in my biking gear, plus there is not a lot of stations to fix or not a lot of information available, which route is the best one to take me where I want to go. So we kind of mapped up all of these possible challenges. And then we defined two groups that we wanted to focus on. One was this person who is a sort of like young professional who bikes on the weekend, but does not take bike during the week to work because of all these obvious challenges related to kind of fitting the bike into his daily life. And another group we looked at was a parent, let's say a mom, who does use bike for throughout as a means of transportation. So she takes her kid to the kindergarten and then takes the bike to work, does all of her errands on the bike, and what it means for her, and challenges like safety, primarily because you're almost biking for two. How do you make sure that the kid is safe, you don't run into problems with the cars and things like that. So since biking is sort of basically relatable to any group, we decided to focus on everybody. So our campaign, we came to think that a lot of challenges with adoption of biking system in New York was related to lack of awareness of, let's say, how easy it is, or like how, like what the possible benefits are. So our focus was to raise the awareness, and our idea was to create a campaign, We Bike NYC, and our insight was that let's say, doing it in a city like New York, what we have playing for us is that this New York pride. New Yorkers are a special group of people who want to be number one in anything. So let's say if we position it of, we want to make, let's say in a year or 6 months, we want to make New York the number one biking city in the US. So this will get people going, even though maybe not everybody was on board with the idea from the beginning. So, and how we're going to do it, I'm going to pass it on. Victoria?
Okay. So, in terms of raising awareness, we had talked about creating a campaign which would be citywide and would involve public officials. It would involve bringing in some celebrity representatives, and it would involve having, ideally, a bike to work day, which the full community would become aware of. This would engender the support of employers. It would give the people who haven't tried it before an opportunity to be new at something and have a ton of support for it, and create a community event around learning how to overcome that learning curve and participate in this type of event. In terms of how we would promote it, it would be something where we would want to be online and have a strong online presence, but we would also want to create a brand and have the sort of the logo that appears everywhere be out there and flag anyone participating or supporting this event, even when they're not on an actual bicycle, so that you kind of feel like you're part of a movement, and then you succumb to this movement as you learn about what it actually entails. And then one of the key features of that would be to have the mobile fix-it centers stationed at different points throughout the city where, for instance, you can have help in learning basic bike mechanics or dealing with a flat or whatever might happen on bike to work day, which would also highlight some of the information that would be available on the mobile app. The mobile app gives you, quick little things you can access on your smartphone anytime you want. When you have a problem roadside, on bike to work day, you have little clusters of people at different checkpoints and we had discussed even leveraging schools and schoolyard properties to kind of get kids and parents involved as well. But these different checkpoints would have fixed-it centers and could potentially, if this was a repeated event, create an opportunity to have mobile bike shops. So,
Actually, I'll answer it.
okay.
And just in terms of measurement, so if the campaign is to how we're going to measure how did we become #1 city in U.S. in biking. So we want to become so that, let's say, 51% of New Yorkers drive biking on a regular basis, or bike on a regular basis, which is, say, if the city is 8 million, we're targeting 4 million. And we will also, throughout the campaign, there will be a tally of miles driven collectively. So that's sort of like to keep people going towards this big goal. And the big reward at the end would be our ambitious project of building an, what is it? Suspended air highway for bikes, okay? So that will be built in the city, but we actually have a financing plan for it. So let's say the setup would be, if by the end of the year we will tally up all the miles that people drove, so there is incentive for everybody, and then working with the sponsors, like let's say the health department, the schools, we had a whole list. Sponsors will match let's say $1 or $10 per mile, and this will be the fund to build the actual air highway. And the inflatable bridge, which will be across over the rivers to sort of facilitate traffic in the certain hours. There you go.
Okay, so we were put in charge of public transportation, and we had to figure out what's really going on. So if we think about public transportation, you find out why it's important to take. Well, because you want to be somewhere on time. Well, why? Because that is what you do. You have to get somewhere on time because it's important. Well, why is it important? It's important because you want to be reliable. Well, why is that important? Well, because you want to be seen as reliable. Okay, you want to be seen as, so we kept going down. And we came down to the fact is like, you know, we want to be reliable. We want to do the best we can to get somewhere because we can't control public transportation. It's scheduled. You can control yourself when you get there, but you can't control it when you're on it. Once you're there, it's going to go where it goes. So in thinking about delivering something to help this customer feel empowered through public transportation is to put the control back in public transportation. So we had to understand our customers, so we did a couple of personas. This guy is going to the baseball game, and he wants to get to the game, and he's worried about being late. He's talking to his friends. They might be drinking, because people do that. We also had other personas here, where we had the business lady who's going to work. She doesn't want to be late, because whenever she's late, she gets chewed out. She's probably reading, doing emails to send out when she gets service again. And it's not just on the train, it's in a bus or on a water ferry or whatever it could be. We also have a student who maybe doesn't want to go to class, who's ambivalent, who's tired, who skips a stop because they fall asleep. These are experiences of these customers. So if we could deliver something to them to improve the public transportation system, the public transportation system is so complex that it has to do with government, with business, with finance, and it's not just easy to fix something. So that's why we want to tackle it. So we're abolishing the MTA, and we're introducing the NTA, the New School Transportation Authority. Votes will be next week, but so when we think about it, we saw that we can't control it. So what can the NTA do to put that control back into it? Well, we want to make public transportation more reliable by putting the public in control of the new system and bring personal interaction, clear communication, and co-create experiences into the daily life of someone. So we created a business model canvas to see what this would look like. This here. So the value we're really bringing is we're making it reliable, making it controllable of what you can control, making it personal so that you're on time. What does this consist of? So we already know professionals, students, and people just taking the subway are included. We want to really engage them. with people in the station in the car. We want to design amazing looking infographics inside the station, outside in public, to know, so the customer knows that we value them in this experience. Because if we communicate design to them, that communicates that we care about them. Meanwhile, we're partnered not only with the city and with the public, but with vendors who will help to keep our infrastructure alive, just like the MTA does. But what we're also doing is partnering with policymakers. Maybe a vast public transportation system isn't the answer. Maybe it needs to be more localized. We'll take a look at that through policy. We can also engage community programs that could help staff our people in the car. Imagine having somebody in the car. Oh, have you ever been on the car late at night, Friday, Saturday night, 2 a.m., guy sitting across from you, he's fine, he's okay, he's just there. All of a sudden, throws up. Imagine if somebody came through and cleaned it up. Or what if you went into the station and your block has all this stuff's going on, people are there to help direct you. That makes it personal again. Even though the system is so vast, there are community programs that have people who need jobs. So in a sense, this NTA is creating jobs, which politicians love to say. Also, we want to connect with these customers, not just in the station, not just on the bus, on the ferry, but through the web. Imagine if somebody could engage with a public transportation system on social media and actually have that be a good experience. What would that experience look like? You know, I think that's a challenge in itself. But if we make it that the public is engaged in this process, that's probably possible. And how we really get the public engaged is rotating ownership of this system, just like the tolls, right? Right. So if we have this contract for 2 years, we're controlling the NTA, and we do a bad job. Well, the public can say, you know what, you're doing a shit job. Let's make this work. Introduce new governance in this, and keep going until we get it right, just like a design process. So the NTA will begin 2020, and you can look for it.
So we will now award an award for the best of the 3 teams. But first we have to disqualify the MTA team because they cheated, right? Have Mark present and Psycho divert us from anything. That is, Psycho, you were just like standing here, right? You're disqualified. I'm now Simon Cowell. And between the cars and the bikes walking, I like this idea of status. That's why I have the car that rhymes with Gorgedes, right? Since I'm not allowed to say names. So the group with the cars gets the books. Here is your, we have your award here. Yes. Right. And so you win the collected wisdom of design thinking on 265 pages. We made a big deal out of it, right? No, you don't get it. We have 5. You don't get it. Only. Oh, you get 1, and you get 1, right? All right. Now it's almost 4 o'clock, right? And what time is it? 3:45. The champagne is being chilled outside in 350 pounds of ice. We kind of overestimated the needs for ice a little bit. There's a reception over the next 2 hours. We all here can interact. I welcome you to that. But before we go to the reception, I just want to make sure that we close this properly. This was a great day. Sure, the weather played a little bit against us, but we have an international audience. I I'm pretty sure that Christina Pacheco was watching and she couldn't believe what she heard about the bikes because she's been working on pedal points for a while. This was an amazing day. I learned a lot of things about what we need to do next, where to go next. It was so refreshing to have people here that we wouldn't normally have here, like Joseph and Travis. Travis comes to us from Barcelona. We have 2 faculty in Barcelona, Travis and Cecilia, that are doing a great job giving us this international cachet, right? Isn't it amazing when you can say, oh yeah, our faculty in Barcelona, right? Not Barcelona, Queens, like Barcelona, right? Barcelona. I'm sure there's a Barcelona in Queens. There's a Jamaica in Queens, right? I'm happy that people went in and out, so in the end we did end up with a very interesting cross-section. I think that you guys had fun. I saw you and you couldn't stop, right? And it was like very engaging. We have some future students here that I have met on accepted students days. We have first-year students, we have second-year students, we have newly accepted students. Look, what should I say to close this? First of all, thank you for all those who helped putting this up, right? Mark and Andrew and Aliyah and Monica, right?
Don't forget me.
No, how could I? And Jesse. We have some faculty that just arrived. We have Susanna here. We have John Michioni here from the regulatory class. I saw students from Baruch that I had invited. I saw students from NYU Poly. We are making impact. Now, I have thought about the closing remarks, and I can't come up with anything better but to tell you that I feel a little bit like President Barack Obama. I'm sorry if that seems like reaching out, but think about it, right? 4 reasons why I feel like President Barack Obama. 2 years ago, we were nowhere. We just started, and here we are, 2 years later, right? Critical mass. Second reason, President Obama always said, leading from behind. That leadership effect, leading from behind. I try to do that every day by not being available to anybody, right? If there's one thing leading from behind the woods, right, that's me. The third part that, and I can't help it, it's this idea of it's not about me, it's about you. It's you, right? I like being in the limelight, but it's about you. And finally, and there's a little bit of a difference, so maybe I'm a little bit ahead of Barack Obama. Yes, we did it. Yes, we did it. Yes, we can. All right? Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for enjoying, and join us for the reception.